but African borders are closed for their fellow black peoples.
The fact that as a people we still continue to uphold systems that were put together by the colonial hoodlums is sad. It's unfortunate. So I was in Kenya for approximately 2 months. The fact that before going to Kenya, it was required of me as an African on this continent to get a visa to go to Kenya. The fact that if I want to go to South Africa, I need a visa. Numerous countries on this continent, I cannot go visa-free. But Europeans can come to a good number of countries on this continent visa-free. What are we doing as Africans? The fact that we still uphold and are proud of these artificial borders that they created during the Berlin Conference. It's crazy how we went from a people who used to be able to move across the continent very freely and at will to a group of people who are now caged in by imaginary borders. As Big Bed Kuti perfectly puts it, we live in an open-air concentration camp now, and it's crazy when you think about it. The fact that we still cage ourselves in within these borders, restricting our movements like they did during colonization. We continue to keep alive and uphold systems that benefit no one but the descendants of colonizers. These folks, just like their colonizer grandparents and great-grandparents, can come into this continent whenever the hell they want and conveniently, without restrictions, move around this continent in ways that us, the indigenous of the continent, cannot. And the crazy thing about this whole visa system that for some weird reason Africans cannot let go of is the fact that they don't exactly use it on themselves like we do. Over there in Europe, they don't restrict themselves. They conveniently travel across countries. And let's not even talk about the price of plane tickets. It's insane that to travel within the continent is that expensive. Upholding these systems, we have so much boxed ourselves in. It's mad what's going on here. We are so close to each other, but yet so far. Like we're just here, living together, trading together even. Why is there so much restrictions? In the grand scheme of things, this system is not helping any one of us. It's not doing any one of us a favor. The system has to go. We are Africans. We can't be caging ourselves in like this. Suppose they meet each other conveniently, they rub minds, but no. Where is your visa?
I hear you saying, he says, the borders must be open. The borders must be opened. Because borders are opened for white people. When there is a white person from Mozambique who can't even speak English, you welcome them. When there is a brother from Mozambique into Nelspruit, you call them names. Yet you don't call white people names. There is no Mozambique here. There is no Swaziland here. There is no Lesotho here. There is no Botswana here. Zambia or Namibia. There is no Zimbabwe. There is Africa, the continent of our ancestors. We were divided. We were divided by the colonizers. What type of a student activist are you? What type of a ground force are you? You say, I don't want colonialism. We want decolonization. Yet you are supporting colonial borders in Africa. We don't want anything that looks like colonialism. We want to be one thing with our sisters in Tanzania, in Nigeria, in Egypt, in DRC, in Sudan, in South Sudan, everywhere else in Africa. We don't want passport. We don't want visa. We must move free of charge. We are one thing. This continent is one. I am a Zimbabwean. I am a Nigerian. I am a Tanzanian, because African brothers everywhere where we are victims of and colonialism. They don't care whether you come from Mozambique or South Africa. You are black. They hate you. The best we can do, solidarity amongst Africans. Let us hold each other's hands. Let us protect each other against colonialism.
And another insane thing about these colonial borders is that it also separated ethnic groups across the continent. So you would find situations where you can find one tribe in two different countries. And that's because when the colonizers were creating these borders, they cut across ancestral homes of different ethnic groups. So you have some people go to the left and some people go to the right of countries. I don't know if I worded that properly. I hope you guys could understand what I just said, but you know, for more clarification, the African Diary made a video where he articulated this point a lot better, so let's roll that clip.
What did colonial borders do? When you travel to all the borders of the Democratic Republic of Congo, also known as DRC, from the Atlantic coast to the Atlantic coast, you find that you have Bakongo people, Chokwe people, Lunda people, but when you cross the borders of each of their location to the side of Angola, you find the exact same people. When you go to the town of Yakoma, you meet the Ngwande people of DRC, but when you cross the colonial border, you find Ngwande people from the Central African Republic. In DRC, you have the Mbongo people, Bateke people, Manyanga people, Bayombe people, but when you cross the colonial border of each of their locations, you find the same people in the Republic of Congo. The Luba people of the Katanga and Kasai region are the same people. Pre-colonial borders, it was one state. But Belgium fabricated those provinces and drew colonial borders that divided the Katanga region from the Kasai region. As a result of the colonial borders, people from the Kasai are seen as foreigners in Katanga. This is not a TED Talk.
And it's not just ethnic groups that got divided. Family members within said ethnic groups got divided as well. So you have a situation where you have a sister over in this country and the brother is in the other country. So when you're thinking about the extent of the division, you also want to ponder on this fact as well. And this happened across the continent. Although I'm presently still learning how many ethnic groups got divided like this, even if it's just one ethnic group that got divided, it's more than enough. The African Diary captioned this video saying colonial borders are crimes against humanity, and I couldn't agree more.
Why didn't the Europeans pay more attention when they were dividing up Africa? Actually, they did, hence the word conquer and divide. A lot of people didn't learn about the partition of Africa, so I'm going to explain how the borders were made. This is the ethnic map of Africa before Europeans came. When kingdoms expanded in Africa, they took over the whole ethnic group to create unity. When Europeans came, they only had one thing in mind. Can you guess what it is? Money and resources. The Europeans had a conference in Berlin, Germany to divide up Africa amongst themselves and divide up the ethnic groups. Just to name a few, the Nubians were divided between Northern Sudan and South Egypt. Somali ethnic group were divided between British East Africa and Italy, British French Somaliland, and some remained uncolonized in Ethiopia. Yoruba ethnic groups were also divided between 5 regions, and Hausa ethnic group were divided between Northern Nigeria and French West Africa. When the colonizers were done exploiting the continent, this is basically how they left. To divide up all this land, that's a lot of land, but okay. Looks beautiful. Okay, you get this, you get this, you get this, and you get this. Good luck. Well, these borders are not going to work. My people are split up. Maybe try moving. That's not really my problem anymore. Hence, there's people like me who got split up from their homeland and we didn't want to move because the land we were on was ancestral land. Same thing happened to British India. It was split between Hindu majority India and Muslim majority Pakistan. But in their case, a lot of people actually moved. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbow over there. A very important holy site ended up on the wrong side of the border. Africans are pretty lucky. Many countries allow free movement so we can visit our families on the other side of the border. But this is not the case between Pakistan and India. Even though the holy site is 3 kilometers away from the border, this is what they have to go through. But these problems have long-lasting effects. Even though I'm 100% ethnically Somali, majority of my DNA ended up in the Somali region of Ethiopia, with very little traces on the actual country of Somalia.